Hello everyone, my name is Noe Quintero, and in this video I'm going to be talking about my book, The Grapes of Wrath. So this book was written by John Steinbeck and officially published on April 14th of 1939. So my topic was the Dust Bowl, and my essential reasoning for why I chose this topic is pretty much because my whole life I've been interested in all things agriculture. So this ranges from topics like soil science to even the management of what goes into growing crops. Pretty much all of my family on my dad's side, they all own farms and ranches. Now, this goes from some family that I have in Gilroy to even family all the way in Mexico. But a lot of my family, even some from my mom's side, they all live on more rural areas, rural parts of Mexico, where they are highly dependent on agricultural life and just essentially farm life. So pretty much growing up, I was able to see and experience firsthand what crop growing environments looked like. And I was pretty much able to familiarize myself a lot with these environments, and I guess, or I like to think, that this is how I grew an interest towards the agricultural field. So my current major, obviously at Cal Poly Pomona, is agricultural sciences, which pretty much in short is just the studies to like the most efficient and effective ways for doing urban and commercial farming. So being that the Dust Bowl, my topic, happened due to poor agricultural practices, I quickly grew an interest towards the topic, and I found that I was able to quite like and enjoy the reading. So, a main argument that the author John Steinbeck creates in The Grapes of Wrath is that economic greed and industrialization destroy both the land and the lives of working class families. Steinbeck argues that once society shifts away from small family farms towards more big corporate agriculture, and commercial agriculture at that, it strips poor farmers of their livelihood and pretty much their whole dignity as a whole. So through the struggles that we see in the novel from the Jode family, Steinbeck shows how the simple people who once lived in harmony with the land are now being crushed by a more powerful system that values profit over people. However, even in the face of all this pain, the author reminds us that the real strength comes from unity, compassion, and the ability of ordinary people to stand together. So pretty much all in all in this novel, we are shown a powerful call for social justice, empathy, and a deeper understanding of how human greed can destroy both the earth and human spirit. But Steinbeck doesn't stop there, and he also shows us how kindness and hope can rebuild what was being broken. So there's a lot of other themes that the author explores in the novel, but some that I want to touch on are that of poverty and social injustices, which are shown throughout the novel in the struggles of poor families that are going against economic systems that often favor the wealthy. Another mentionable topic is that of the American dream, where characters show hope for a better life, which often clashes with the harsh realities of living through the Dust Bowl. The author also touches on the topic of family and unity by showing the importance of bonds and collective strength during family hardships. He also shows dignity and humanity through fights to maintain human dignity through one's own exploitation, as well as the injustice of capitalism through how large landowners exploit their workers for their own profits. Steinbeck also touches on the topic of displacement through showing forced movement of families due to the economic and environmental crisis that was being led through the Dust Bowl. So essentially, I would argue that Steinbeck successfully captures and depicts the details of the Dust Bowl in his novel. Now I would say this because he shows how the disaster affected the ecosystem and its people. He further demonstrated how irresponsible farming practices in the drought severely damaged the land and forced people to relocate through effective storytelling. Steinbeck also made it easy for us to comprehend both the physical harm as well as sorrow and resilience that was endured of those who experienced the Dust Bowl. Through his work and through this novel, Steinbeck was able to successfully increase awareness and compassion for those who suffered through the Dust Bowl. Now, I myself, I did not know a lot about this topic, and I wasn't really previously shown or taught at that about it in my high school years, or maybe I just don't remember. But I believe that through this novel, I was able to view how the agricultural field was severely impacted and was essentially the main cause of this Dust Bowl. And I think that just really opened my mind to how, like, there's a lot of different aspects that go into agriculture, into how catastrophes can just occur through people not taking the correct care for many things. I view this as not just being possible through agriculture, but through many other topics. And I think that this just brought a lot more awareness to me personally, because now I see that we really need to be careful of what we do and not take advantage of the land that the earth gives us. So a little about the topic, a little about the how I found this book and finding it through the library. So this is pretty much the first book that I check out at the CPP library. So it took me a bit of time to find the book at the library. Actually, it took me a couple of days to find the actual book, The Grapes of Wrath, because I wasn't totally sure that it would match up with the Dust Bowl, but after reading and watching a few videos that summarized it, I saw that it did pretty much pair up with it completely, not completely, but in a sense that it touched on the correct topics and it gave a good outline. So when I went in to actually locate it in the library, I did have to ask for a bit of help because I was not yet familiarized with. I obviously looked at the map, but it was barely like my second or third time going into the actual library. So I did have to ask for some assistance by some of the staff, but they were nice and they did help me out. And I was able to get it in about 30 minutes because I did take some time trying to look for it myself. But overall, it was a smooth experience and I can't really complain a lot. So overall, on the topic of reading this book, this has been one of the few books that I've actually quite enjoyed reading. I've never really been one to read books on my own, like just at my personal preference, because I don't know, I've never really had the patience. I don't know what it is. Maybe I just haven't found a topic that I like myself. But I found that I quite enjoyed reading this book. Now, maybe it's for the same reason that it touches a lot on the agricultural topic. But I did find that I didn't really get bored or impatient with this book. So on the topic of finding or using AI to find answers that can otherwise be found in sources like books or textbooks or any other read media, I personally believe that when we use AI to find our solutions, we lose a lot of the experience of scavenging and looking for the complete knowledge ourselves. We don't really gain a lot of the knowledge and it doesn't really stick to our head. So I think that it's important that we don't leave sources like books in the past because they are an essential building block towards our general education. AI can be a really convenient way for us to get rapid answers, but at the end of the day, nothing learns or sticks to our mind from the answers that we are given because we did not put in any effort in actually looking for the data or whatever we're looking for ourselves. I've personally seen that when I look up answers, and it's not necessarily on ChatGPT or anything, but I find that after a couple of minutes or even a day or two, it's already gone. Whereas if I'm actually studying and looking for quotes or just highlighting general ideas, they really stick to my brain more, and writing down really does help. It just helps a lot. But anyways, yeah, this has been my video presentation of The Grapes of Wrath. And yeah, thank you for listening.